Hello YouTube and welcome. I'm going to be reacting to a video by a YouTuber named Sufferance. He's one of my favorite YouTubers. He covers Chainsaw Man, just like me, and I just really like the structure of his videos, and I just wanted to add my react to it to add more conversation to what's been going on with Chainsaw Man and all the craziness that's been happening with it, and what this these new chapters could mean for the future of Chainsaw Man. So let's get right into it.
Extinction. Honestly, that is what we are building towards. If you were to repackage the Age of Devils, the descending terror that is the Death Devil, it sounds oddly familiar to the sixth extinction for humanity.
What do you mean?
There's a really big conversation surrounding that idea, which heavily involves the hero of hell, known as Pochita, but potentially a subtitle called the Hero of Humanity. The Pochita is interesting.
That's an interesting way to look at it. It does make sense though. I did hear from another YouTuber that that he had this feeling that it's missing like sort of like this this crazy event, like whatever this prophecy might be, it has to be like on the same scale as like say like the fourth impact in Neon Genesis Evangelion. And that's what I heard from him specifically. I can't remember the YouTuber's name right now, but yeah. Whatever this event is going to take place, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be complicated, and it's going to be fucking wacky as shit, because as we all know, Fujimoto is crazy with his writing and pulls off some of the weirdest plot lines you could ever see in a story ever. So,
because he has a very unique ability. Obviously, his representation being of a chainsaw with the ability to erase doesn't really align.
Yeah, here's my thing about the whole eraser thing, because like, this was discussed in one of the later chapters. Yeah, Barum brought this up. He was like confused. Why would chainsaws have the ability to erase things? So that got me thinking, what if Chainsaw Man erased the devil that almost like was the true identity, the true being that is Chainsaw Man, or is the Chainsaw Devil, or Pochita, really. So Pochita's true existence was erased by his own ability, I guess, in this great war that took place in hell, in which he became the hero of hell, which is kind of weird, because like it's sort of this whole hero of hell thing is kind of synonymous with the Devilman Crybaby, where the main character, his demon's name was Amon or something like that, and he was regarded as the hero of hell, but he would just destroy all the demons. It's very similar to what's been going on with Chainsaw Man. He's got the whole hero of hell thing. It's very interesting. So maybe we'll get more context as to why he's called that in the upcoming chapters. So we'll just have to keep theorizing till Fujimoto gets to that point.
A lot of people love the birth motif that Pochita represents unbirth, the umbilical cords, the usage of chainsaws in its early invention for
I like that one. I never heard about that theory. That actually kind of makes a lot of sense, but with knowing Fujimoto, this whole thing could mean completely something else entirely. I mean, as we saw with the Death Devil, we thought for the longest time that Fami was the Famine Devil, but she was Death Devil the entire time, which just completely flipped the script on what we knew and what we didn't know. So,
carriages and utilage of a birthing tool to cut the umbilical cord. the way he eats devils to
Yeah.
erase them, but also throw them back up to bring them back conceptually. For many years now, I've talked about what Pochita could be and what his role within this story is.
Yeah.
Alongside this new chapter, the plan that the Death Devil, previously known as Fami, is
Yeah.
putting something in motion. She is going to throw the world into utter chaos.
Yeah, that's the thing about about the Death Devil. We thought for the longest time that the Death Devil was going to be this final boss, but it's starting to look like, now that she's been revealed as fake Fami, that she's been working to almost like try and stop herself from participating in the prophecy, and she seems very interested in mankind's way of life, but it seems like no matter what she's done so far, it hasn't been able to like stop her from avoiding the prophecy. So what could she possibly do to prevent this? The only answer from what it looks like that she's going to is trying to get the War Devil and the Chainsaw Man to combine their powers and, I guess, stop her. That's when the prophecy comes to fruition. We don't know. There's just a lot of questions to be had, or a lot of questions to be answered.
And terror. And she's going to do that by using Famine and the fake Chainsaw Man as her tools of war.
Yeah. See, I don't think that's the prophecy. I don't think he's alluding to that, but my theory is that she's using these two to sort of delay the prophecy. That's my theory. But I could be wrong, he could be wrong. We have no idea what the reason why Fujimoto is making Death use these two in particular to be a part of whatever Death Devil's plan is. Because from what we can tell, she doesn't want the prophecy to happen. At least from my perspective, when I read it. So I don't know. I mean, she's tried to kill herself, obviously. She's pulled out all of her organs, and she clearly can't die. And even if she did die, the prophecy would still come to fruition because the intense amount of fear that is growing with the concept of death is making her more and more powerful. So, maybe that's the other thing. Like, maybe it's like the simplest thing that's just hanging right in our faces, and we are just overanalyzing what it could possibly mean.
She now has them under control. Obviously, this does not align with what Death wants.
Yeah.
She likes humanity, and even if she could be killed, there's no chance that the next Death that replaces her would feel the same way. So why throw the world into chaos? Why cause this abyssal terror? Pochita has a very interesting function that if someone were to call out for his help, save us, Chainsaw Man, he has to oblige. The reason this works for now.
See, is that really what happened? Because it's only been seen one time with Makima. I don't think that's a function. I feel like that was more of a plea from the Horsemen, and Pochita responded as full armored Chainsaw Man, mostly for Denji's sake. So I don't see this. I'm not. Me personally, I don't see this whole "Save Me, Chainsaw Man" as one of Pochita's functionalities. From what I can tell from my perspective, it's just Pochita responding to Denji's very depressing and horrible situation that he seems to always be put through involuntarily, and it's very tragic. It's why a lot of people love Denji as a character, because like he goes through so much pain and suffering, and he still grows as a character. However, he's still human. He still makes mistakes.
Now, is Death has a very interesting problem. This new chapter gives us a reveal that when Nostradamus' prophecy comes true, for some reason or another, Death will awaken. This is out of her control. So of course, even if you could kill her, you can't, because she'd just be reset and you cause another problem. So your next train of thought is to use Pochita, and that's
that's the other thing. So, like, when she resets, she might actually be a worse version of herself when she rebirths as a different entity. 'Cause, like, you never know. Her newer version could be worse off and actually want the prophecy to happen and want humanity to just be annihilated. It's a very complicated situation. So, obviously, we have to turn towards Pochita. What could we do with him? Me, personally, I think Death herself has been trying to collude, Asta, Yoru, and Denji and Pochita to work together and eventually combine their powers to stop Death herself. That's how I see it. That's how I see this all wrapping up. But, again, Fujimoto could be leading us down this obvious path and then fucking flip the switch on us like he did with the Death Devil. So
exactly what Fami and Fake.
And this was also this is kind of similar to how like Aki was turned into the Gun Devil, which was very poetic in my opinion. I thought that was crazy for him to do. And it just added more depth to the story of Chainsaw Man, just as this does as well.
Chainsaw Man offer. Get eaten by Chainsaw Man, get erased, so humans can live on.
I don't think
However, it is not that simple. So of course, the steps to actually activating Chainsaw Man and having him be the hero of hell and humanity combined is perhaps what Death is doing, chucking the world into chaos. So people, humanity, can call upon their savior being Chainsaw Man. Now, whether you want to say that war is utilizing or weaponizing Chainsaw Man, or it's a solo dolo thing, it's up to you. But so far, that is the imagery that is supplied. That's the idea.
So my thing is like, I think war is trying to use Chainsaw Man to bring about her own plans. But what I think what's going on is that War doesn't realize that she's being used by Death to, I'm not sure if it's to erase her or something more than that. I'm not sure. Maybe we have no idea where this could go, but we could theorize just how many different paths this can take. Because me personally, I can see that Death is trying to use these two. But is it to kill her? Is it to erase her? What is the plan? It's up in the air. We have no idea. And he's been very smart with how he slowly presents this. Yeah.
You might wonder, what does this have to do with the sixth extinction? There's a lot of different variations within literature of the sixth extinction, sometimes even being the final extinction for humanity. There's a lot of logistics that go into it. It's proposed that throughout humanity's existence, there has to be periodic resets for the world to heal, for humanity to heal, to take pressure.
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting theory. That makes a lot of sense, too. All right, I'll let him continue with this.
Off it. In theory, this is a very scary thing because you don't really know when it could happen. Sometimes it's natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanoes, ice age, etc.
Ooh! What if the theory he's about to spit here is... What if it's like this whole extinction thing he's talking about? What if it's a cataclysmic... It's a cataclysmic event that Death has to take part in, that she involuntarily causes or is a part of. And she's trying to use Denji and Yoru to sort of prevent this extinction level event from happening. Which, all right, yeah. I like where this is going. That's a good theory, but we could be completely wrong again. I don't know.
Extinction, however, is viewed to be more isolated to humanity's doing. War, nuclear, mass hysteria, and plague-driven, basically the identity of humanity closing in on itself, going to war with one another, and wiping everybody out with it. The remaining humans of that sixth extinction would live through and to create perhaps a more prosper and hopeful humanity. There is a darker version of it, that if humanity goes through the sixth extinction, it would be its last. There would be no great reset. That nuclear warfare and climate change would cause so much damage to the world that humanity would cease to exist, basically making Earth uninhabitable. And whatever remains of the human population dwindles down day by day rapidly until no more.
Yeah.
What does this have to do with Chainsaw Man? Well, currently the events with this recent chapter, alongside the whole idea of Nostradamus' prophecy, looks towards the prospects of an extinction level event. That humanity is on the brink of total annihilation. For a long time, we didn't know what the reasoning for that would be, but now we know that death will awaken in some way, shape, or form, and it needs to be stopped.
Yeah, it'll happen no matter what, but how do you stop it? Death seems to have a plan to try and stop herself, but again, the question is, how do you do that?
War is still a problematic thing.
Exactly.
We don't know how her intentions or her prosperity in terms of eternal warfare could actually be.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, war seems to be leading into trying to have this endless amount of power through causing endless amounts of war throughout the world. Which, to me, based off of how things have gone out for War herself, it feels like this plan of hers is going to backfire, just like it always does. And, I don't know. I don't think Yoru's plan is going to work out, because the grander scheme of things is seemingly going to overshadow that, and Yoru will have to work with Asta to make a choice to either save this world or let it plunge into chaos to the point that no life exists at all.
That is a problem in itself. But what really meshes things together is Pochita and what he actually represents. A very long time ago, I said that Pochita is not the Chainsaw Man devil or the unbirthed devil, but he is extinction, that he is true to his name.
Yeah, it's starting to look like that isn't actually what Pochita is. What would I say Pochita is? So, he has the power to erase things. I wouldn't say he's the extinction devil. But here's the other thing. He can erase them from existence. However, they're not the whole thing about Pochita's powers is that they're not exactly completely gone. When Pochita swallows a devil, he completely erases the existence of the concept that devil was attached to. However, it's not gone. It's gone in the reality of things. However, it still lingers within the dimension of whatever Pochita's stomach is in. And it could be that Pochita is sort of like a storage unit that almost like makes the whole program forget that the objects or programs in the unit are completely gone. Or some, it's kind of like, it's almost like a trash can on a recycling bin in a computer, where you throw away the stuff. However, it's not completely gone. It's just sitting there and you forget about it, right? But that still doesn't exactly pinpoint what kind of devil Pochita really is. It's very, I don't know. You can't. This is why it gets very interesting, because like a lot of people come up with these things like the Extinction Devil or the Rebirth Devil, or it could go in many different directions. However, the only person that truly knows what the type of devil Pochita is Fujimoto himself, or even he could still be trying to figure out what kind of devil Pochita really is. We have no idea. All we can do is sit back, keep theorizing, and see where this goes.
The ability to be able to erase things, beings, humans, concepts, ideas is that of quality to utter extinction. But I've always wondered where Chainsaw Man has come from, why Pochita is such a anomaly-like being. We've never got mention of him being a primal fear, yet his power quite easily rivals one. He's not a 4 horsemen of the apocalypse or a pseudo 5th horseman.
Yeah.
He's just another devil. But there is one link throughout this entire story that has been unknown to us, and that is the name of hybrids. The names that have been erased from both devil and human history. Why? Perhaps there's no importance there, but the more I think about what the purpose of hybrids are, combining devils and humans, it makes this idea of balance and connection rather interesting.
So yeah, just a little side tangent. I love how he edits everything. It goes. I like how he has like this little bit of meme humor on top of these like visuals and stuff that coincide with what he's talking about. Just a little brief tangent here.
So far, some of the most powerful beings represented within this story really like humanity. They like to live among humans comfortably. Some are obviously more disastrous than others. Currently, death itself really likes humanity and wants to savor it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. With Nayuta, she was a much better version of Makima, because Makima didn't care about humanity at all. She saw everyone as like a tool to be used. Whereas Nayuta was taught by Denji to be more caring, to be less controlling, and taught her what love is. Now, is she still alive? We don't know. Last time we saw her was as a headless corpse. Or I guess a head-only corpse. So, she may be dead, or the other thing is, she could have died, and the Death Devil brought her back. You never know. And then, Death Devil has full control over Control, now has full control over Fami, so this could go in. If that is the case, if Death Devil has control over her 2 sisters, then not only could that mean that the prophecy is slowly becoming more true, but it could also mean that the Death Devil is going to use these 2 to either try and prevent the prophecy or accidentally cause it, accidentally speed it up. So that's a good theory. Nayuta could be dead, but she was taken in by her sister and is now being controlled by her sister, just like Fami is now. You never know.
Pochita has always felt like the embodiment of extinction, but not isolated to his own devil.
Yeah.
For some reason in the back of my mind, I feel he is either a tool, a child, or something partially disconnected from death itself. Something that either death has created, death has weaponized, or death has spawned to cause balance within the world. There is also the possibility that Pochita is kind of just an anomaly being, that primal fears and horsemen and devils alike collectively share a common fear that isn't actually death, but being...
Yeah, it's the other thing. Pochita's existence is a very unique thing within the devil world. And he could possibly be one of the primal fears as well. That's another theory everyone has, and you never know. That's the other thing. Like, primal fears usually don't die. Like, with the Darkness Devil, that guy has not left hell, and clearly is very, very powerful. So Pochita very well could be a primal fear as well. But more than just any normal type of primal fear. Could be a whole embodiment of fear that no one has ever really seen before.
Forgotten.
The other thing. Everyone forgot what that fear was.
Longer existing. So even if that's the case, he still works as the representation of extinction for both humanity and for devils. Currently, it seems like death wants to weaponize that, to cause that said terror within humanity, so a weapon that is the equivalence of extinction can...
Oh, by the way, this says, perhaps Chainsaw Man was created from a part of her. That very well could be. That could be also another that could be a very good theory. Me personally, I don't think that's the case. I mean, as powerful as death could be as a primal fear, I don't think that's really what Chainsaw Man is.
Save humanity. I've always really enjoyed the idea that the sixth extinction is actually Pochita, that him as a being represents humanity's extinction. But similar to a low percentage of devils, primal fears, and horsemen, he genuinely enjoys humanity. He enjoys people, and specifically he enjoys dreams. Pochita is a curious character and seems to be powerful enough to kind of do whatever he wants.
Yeah, Pochita seems to have a very, very loving attachment to Denji, and has a very childish attachment to dreams and stuff like that, which is very poetic, seeing how he could just erase things and make people forget that these things existed. And, anyway, can you continue on? At this point, I'm just rambling.
Another part of me believes that the name for the hybrids that were erased is something...
Wait, maybe I'll just put myself up here. There we go.
Equivalent to children or tools. It's very uneasy that all of the hybrids that we have seen so far have been viewed with the intention of tools. They have been used as tools, as weapons for said horsemen. Pochita seems to be no different, but his power is obviously scaled much higher. This makes me think that perhaps the horseman or another primal fear has created the hybrids to represent different structures, different weapons of war. Which means it would make sense that perhaps a previous death utilized Pochita as the sixth extinction. Think about it like this. Imagine...
That's an interesting theory. I never thought about it like that. Pochita created by death herself, a previous incarnation of her. Alright, let's see where he's taking this.
In this Nostradamus' prophecy, death descends, but it's not the one we know, one that hates humanity. And alongside is her tool of extinction, Pochita, a being that is able to erase anything and anyone that stands in her way. Realistically, death could control everything, be the most powerful being to ever exist that even primal fears can't go up against. We know there is a hierarchy, there is a structure, there is some sort of political pull and gain within both the human world and devil world when it comes to how they operate. It's not structured or coherent by any means, but the remnants of it is there. This just makes me think of Pochita's previous engagement with the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and perhaps a extinction level event that happened prior to the story beginning. For a reason unknown to us, Pochita...
I like that theory. That definitely alludes to like what this whole war that took place that allowed Pochita to become the hero of hell. What kind of extinction level event could have led to Pochita fighting back against the Four Sisters, the Four Horsemen? It's very... This is why I like listening to Sufferance. He has this very monotone voice and delivers a very unique perspective on our unique theories on what could possibly have happened, which allows for more engagement with the story, allows for more interesting topics to be brought up. What could one thing mean, or what could the other thing mean? And the other interesting thing is, like, even though he comes up with these theories, and I sometimes do it myself. Fujimoto, again, likes to dangle things in our face, likes to say that we are, or likes to put things in our face and makes us think one way, and then completely turns around. You know? I like where he's going with this, but it could also be something completely different. I like the idea of Pochita being made by Death herself, used in a previous extinction level event, which does make a lot of sense when you think about it as a theory, but again, it's only a theory. We don't know the full context. And this very well could be near the ballpark of what Fujimoto's writing, or it's actually completely the opposite of what happened.
Went toe-to-toe with a bunch of devils, a bunch of primal fears, and all four horsemen of the apocalypse. Now let me ask you a question. Why? For what reason would you need an army of that caliber? Devils, other hybrids perhaps, the four horsemen working together, and primal fears to verse someone like Pochita?
Nah, that doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Anyway.
The thing that I could realistically come up with is during this time, Pochita went AWOL. He was no longer under control.
He's saying exactly what I was about to say. Okay. Yeah, because like when he brought that up, it made me think, oh, what if Pochita was just losing control? Or what if Pochita was being controlled by something else? Something worse? Who knows what that could have been? It could have been a fucking devil we don't even know of. What if it's the devil that Pochita... Oh, shit, wait. What if the version of Pochita that is the true version of Pochita was swallowed by this version of Pochita during the war in hell, which caused massive amounts of destruction. And by doing so, this erased this version of Pochita, while simultaneously causing every one of these devils to believe that Pochita is the hero of hell, even though Pochita violently reacts to all these devils. It's very, I don't know. I like where this is going, though.
Of either death or another horseman or a primal fear. Whatever structure they had around him was no longer containable. So to try and bring his power back, because letting it out loose is very problematic for everybody, they try to bring him back under control using the four horseman method. Every horseman has an ability to control primal fears and devils. Why else would you weaponize them that way? Why else do they use hybrids like tools? So you use other primal fears to try and get Pochita to bring him under your control, and every four horsemen would try their best to do it and ultimately fail. Pochita seems like he wants to be free, so where better else to escape than the human world? And perhaps that is where you start Chainsaw Man's story.
That's interesting. So we have here control Chainsaw Man to kill the horseman, weaponize Chainsaw Man, kill death, use Chainsaw Man, erase death, bait Chainsaw Man, create hell on earth, make Chainsaw Man savior, reset death, reset prophecy. Because here's the thing. All the two sisters, War and Fami, want to defeat Death, her sister here. But what did Makima want to do? Why did Makima... Well, alright, so Makima wanted Chainsaw Man's heart because she never knew what love was. And she saw Chainsaw Man as the superior being, which is why she couldn't control him. So, what if Makima didn't know about the prophecy as well, and she was also trying to use Chainsaw Man to stop whatever extinction level event is supposedly about to happen? Because the other thing is, War has her own selfish ambitions for what she wants to do. Death herself is selflessly trying to stop the prophecy from happening, and so is Fami. Which is kind of weird, because you have these two sets of sisters that one side is selfish, and the other side is being selfless. At least that's from what I can see.
It would be very funny to me if the reason all of this stuff is happening now, the reason why Control went after Pochita, the reason why War is after Pochita, the reason why New Famine even knows about Pochita erasing people and that erasing death will stop this prophecy, is that it's most likely happened before. So now I'm thinking, with the new chapter, with the new information and the perspectives that we have, death continuously goes through resets. That for whatever reason, because humanity peaks to the fear of death, it awakens. And for each time that has happened, it is isolated to the extinction event. So when humanity is on the cusp of extinction, eternal war, climate change, basically the end of days, death has a countdown and thus will awaken. And currently,
that's a really fucking good theory. Holy shit. I need to like this. That could very well be what's going on.
The only thing that could stop that countdown would be Pochita.
Again, it does sound like it makes sense. I like it. But Fujimoto, as we know, is unpredictable. So this is a very nice theory. I really like this theory. But it could be completely wrong. We have no idea. We should all... It's fun to have these theories. I like it. It's engaging. It makes the story more interesting. But we also got to take these theories with a grain of salt, because we never know. We could be right or we could be wrong. Never take this as 100%. I really like the theory, though. I really do. It's very interesting.
Pochita. So what better way for either versions of death or even the horseman is to create a tool or a weapon that stops that is fully able to erase the concept of death and then regurgitate it back up.
Yeah.
Or even to a similar way that Denji done a soft reset with Control and Naoyuta. It's not the same, but you get the idea. So what it looks like, every extinction humanity has gone through, being a total of perhaps 5, is because of humanity kind of spiraling out of control and death awakening to obviously destroy everything. But to stop those extinctions, you have Pochita reset a lot of people and do a lot of work in the human world and in the devil world, and then it starts again. And a great thing about those previous extinctions is that you can actually erase them as well. So you start to go down a path of Pochita being a balancer, a savior for humanity and even devils alike, because he's erasing certain concepts that would continue to spread fear of that oncoming or previous extinction.
Yeah.
Now here's the kicker. Public safety. What would you think they would try to do if they knew any of this information, prior or current, about
based off of what I think public safety would try to detain Death herself, try to take control of Chainsaw Man even more. They would also try to force Death to reveal as many secrets as possible, but I don't see that happening, because I feel like Death does not see the public safety as very useful tools to prevent this prophecy from happening. I don't see public safety being able to do anything, but they'll try to like detain Denji, Death, and the other horsemen as well, to try and prevent this prophecy from happening, which I believe would it matter? It wouldn't matter. The only people that could possibly stop this are Chainsaw Man and Death, and possibly Yoru, from what I can see.
Extinctions, about Death's countdown and awakening, and what Pochita is capable of. You try to evolve. You try to take humanity past extinction. If you can't survive the extinction as humanity currently, why not evolve humans further? Why not take out certain concepts that hold back human evolution and force them to grow? So whatever hard...
Yeah, that's what they did. That's what they were trying to do. And that's what they wanted Denji to do with Pochita. They wanted Pochita to swallow Death, so that way... Or no, they were trying to have Pochita swallow aging so that they could prevent humans from aging, and thus reducing the fear of death, and thus making the prophecy less likely to happen, which is an interesting route. But Pochita clearly doesn't want to do that, because maybe there's something more to it than just swallowing aging. Or maybe Pochita doesn't see it as morally right to get rid of aging as a concept.
Hardships come humanity's way, humans still remain. Funny enough, that is what public safety, in a nutshell, is trying to do.
Yeah.
Getting rid of aging, for example, was their one attempt of trying to see what would happen to humanity being forced to evolve. But Chainsaw Man is sloppy. Erasing things is sloppy. It's not linear. It is incredibly circular.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how these concepts are erased, because take the ear thing, for example. The ear devil was swallowed, and everyone didn't have ears. The concept of ears was completely removed, and not only did ears get removed, people completely forgot what ears were and continued life as normal, as if they've been living without ears their entire lives, which is crazy powerful. Like, think about it. Death, or was it Pochita also like erased, was it the Nazis and all sorts of other horrible things from existence? And if anyone mentions, or if any of the four horsemen mention these concepts, people will go like, what is that? We've never heard of that. It's crazy. Like, Pochita's erasing ability is so demonstrably powerful that it's capable of erasing it from time itself, erasing it from reality. It's completely removed. Every character is affected, both background to fucking even some of the main characters. Like the mouth devil, mouths were completely removed. No one could talk. But the other thing is, it's not completely gone. The concepts aren't completely gone. They're inside Pochita. Pochita has this powerful ability to just eliminate the concept from reality. But it's not completely gone. It's more like he kind of like plucked it from it plucked the existence of the concept and stored it inside of himself. It's so crazy. It is a very powerful ability.
Erase aging, but the idea of aging still technically exists, just within different forms. So humanity does change, aging does cease to exist, but something else takes its place. If you knew that an extinction level event was coming, the sixth extinction, you would want to evolve humans to survive for it by using the one being that represents that, Pochita. And with how Death has positioned herself within this chapter, it makes her the primary villain and the primary problem. That Death needs to be reset by Pochita, but Pochita won't come out to...
That's the thing. She's the primary threat, but I don't think she's the primary antagonist, because she's trying to... Well, she could be an antagonist in a very unconventional way, but... From what I can tell, she seems to want to stop the prophecy from happening.
Play the way that everyone wants him to. So you cause chaos, you cause mayhem, you cause utter destruction. And there's two versions of it. Either war comes at the play wielding Pochita, or humanity collectively asks for help, for Chainsaw Man to save them. The curveball and problem is probably war itself. She likes warfare. The idea of eternal war precedes the sixth extinction. It is the reason why it kind of happens. So funny enough, the Age of Devils, quote unquote, could still actually be because of Yoru, just not the final goal. War could literally be the reason why Death awakens, why the fear of death peaks for humanity is because of Yoru.
It could be. There's also something I just thought about. What if this prophecy follows like the same order in which the four horsemen come? Because like first you had control, which was conquest, right? And then you had war. War came along, and then you had famine. Famine finally just made her actual appearance. And I think what's about to happen is like famine's going to be used, and that will lead to the final horseman, Death, which will cause the prophecy to come to full fruition.
Yoru. So if Death plays into that idea and kickstarts the eternal war herself, everybody collectively gets erased. And it makes all the things that Old Fami has done throughout the story, now Death, all the more clear. Probing, the prodding, the way she's handled in this chapter, the clouds start to dissipate and clarity starts to appear. I liked this chapter a lot. I think it kickstarts the finale of this story. Beautifully depicted, horrifying idea, but also playful. I see this story not lasting longer than perhaps 40 odd chapters. This is the final arc, and things are about to begin. Everyone is kind of on the playing field now. We still have questions that we hope we get answers for, and eventually, with time, perhaps we will get them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is going to be the last arc of Chainsaw. Oh shit. This is going to be the last arc of Chainsaw Man, and it is going to be fucking crazy how this all unfolds. We could theorize all we want, but I don't think we truly understand what's coming. The way this story could end could be absolutely fucking phenomenal. And from what I can tell, the chapter 199, the art seems to be getting better. And I hope it just continues to get better, because the way this story is about to end, it could be completely tragic, horrible, or end in an unexpectedly beautiful way, or a combination of both, which tends to be a trend among with Chainsaw Man. Like, it is such a messy, horrible story, but it has some of the most beautiful depictions of humanity, and I can't wait to see how Fujimoto builds this up, finally climaxes all of this. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go like and subscribe to Sufferance. He's a really cool YouTuber. I love watching his videos on manga. He has a very interesting way of talking about it. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and leave a comment, and let's get discussing to what might happen in Chainsaw Man. Peace out.